What's up, everybody? Today we're going to talk all about foam rolling. We're going to cover what's actually happening when we foam roll, how we coach foam rolling at CFSC, and then we're going to take you through a full body foam rolling sequence so you can follow it on your own. For those of you who aren't familiar with us, at Certified Functional Strength Coach, we're the official training certification of Mike Boyle Strength Conditioning right here in Boston, Massachusetts, where Mike Boyle has been training elite athletes from around the world for over 30 years. What we teach you to do at CFSC is how to be an adaptable coach so you can adapt your programming to anybody who comes into your facility. And to stick around for after the video, we're going to tell you a little bit more about our training certification program. So we're going to start by talking all about what actually happens when we use a foam roller. Foam rolling has gotten really popular, especially over the last 15 years or so, and there's a lot of misconceptions about what happens when we foam roll and why it's important for us to do. So when we sit on one of these foam rollers and we're digging into our muscles, what we're really doing is we're working with our body's nervous system. We're trying to get our nervous system to relax, to allow more passive range of motion, and to reduce the resting tone in the tissue. Typically, the verbiage we hear people use when they talk about foam rolling is that something physical is happening, that they're breaking up knots, breaking up adhesions, breaking down scar tissue. And that's the common verbiage that people use because it makes sense physically for them to say that we're breaking up knots. But it's important to understand that we're not actually causing a physical change in the tissue at all. We're just getting the nervous system to relax. We're taking our nervous system from a more sympathetic, fight or flight state to a more parasympathetic rest and digest and relax state. So just imagine a dimmer switch on a light. If it's turned all the way up to 10, or a dimmer switch on a radio, turned all the way up to 10, nice and loud. And we just want to take that and turn it down just a little bit, down to like a 5 or a 6. It's going to allow the client's tissues to feel a little bit better. It's also going to allow for a little bit more passive range of motion so they can get into the positions we want when we actually start to get up and get moving in the workout. So all of our clients are going to come in and use a foam roller at the very beginning of the workout. We're going to spend 5 to 10 minutes before we start stretching to work through all the major muscle groups in the body and have our clients work through foam rolling, understanding how they feel when they foam roll and looking for areas of tension. When they foam roll, we want to make it clear to them, we don't want it to be so painful and uncomfortable that they're grimacing and holding their breath and bracing. It should be what I call a pleasurable level of discomfort, meaning it's like a 5 or a 6 out of 10 on the discomfort scale. I don't want them shaking and bracing against it. And if that's the case, we want to find different positions or a softer roller for them to use. It's important, especially with beginners, to actually coach them through how to foam roll. Teach them the positions we want them to be in, and make sure they're actually working on the areas that are important. It's going to be natural human tendency for most of our clients to avoid the areas that are uncomfortable, but we do want them to make sure we spend time working through all the hot spots in their body because it's going to help them feel better and eventually move better as we continue to progress down the road. One of the first things we start with is teaching them how to roll their hips. So when we're rolling our hips on a foam roller, we want them to pick a side and lean that direction. So if I'm rolling on my left hip, I'm going to put my weight all the way onto my left, and ideally I'm going to be able to externally rotate, cross that leg over, so I have the most access to my hip all the way from underneath the femur all the way up to the top of the sacrum. If they're really tight and have trouble getting into this position, I'll just cue them to kind of still be in this externally rotated position, but keep the foot down on the ground. We want them to think roll underneath all the way up so they get the most access to their glute, work the sides, work the inside, and again, explore for areas of tension where you can really sink into the muscle, and we'll just kind of cue them to spend 30 seconds to a minute working through each area as we kind of progress through the entire body. The next area we're going to work on is the lat and posterior shoulder. A lot of people are going to have a bunch of tension, especially if they have shoulder mobility issues, in this lateral line, working up from their lat all the way up to their posterior rotator cuff, posterior shoulder, even into their tricep. So we're going to have them start on their side. And again, you might need to start with a softer roller because this stuff's going to be pretty tender, and have them actually support their body weight to start when they roll their lat here so they're not putting all of their pressure on their rib cage. And they're just going to start to roll up into this lat area, into their serratus, even into this anterior rib cage area where it's going to be pretty tender. And then as we get into that meatier part of the lat, they can move their arm out and just start to roll up and down until they get almost right behind their armpit here. This place is gonna be really tender. You're gonna start to see people kind of brace and grimace, cue them to breathe in their nose and out their mouth so they can relax a little bit, put their hand behind their head, and we're gonna roll forwards and roll backwards, pressing down into the roller. There's gonna be a lot of tension there into those posterior rotator cuff, posterior shoulder muscles, but it's a really important place to work on, especially if we're trying to improve shoulder health and shoulder mobility. Next, we're gonna talk about rolling the lumbar spine, especially into the QL. So this area right here, from just above our pelvis, just beneath our rib cage. Often clients are gonna carry a lot of tension there, especially if they have history of low back pain or some sort of low back injury. They're gonna have a lot of resting tone in those lumbar extensors and QL muscles. And so we wanna make sure, I'll show you from the front first and I'll show you from the behind, that they're able to get into those muscles, right? So we might start by having them just roll the middle of their lumbar spine here, okay? On these more surface level erectors, start to loosen things up. And then we're gonna have them lay on their side with the roller pretty much right above their pelvis, right beneath their rib cage. We're gonna have them roll forwards and roll backwards, pressing down, sinking in. Sometimes if there's a lot of tension, it's a good idea to just have them sit there and take a breath in the nose and out the mouth. You're gonna feel the tension on the roller change because you're changing the amount of pressure internally by breathing in and out. And they're just gonna roll forwards and roll backwards, pressing down. Now I'm just gonna turn around, I'll show you from the back so you can see from this side. Again, I'm gonna place that roller just above my pelvis, just beneath my rib cage, sinking into this low lumbar area here, okay? And I'm just gonna roll backwards, press down, roll forward. And you're gonna just sink into that little space where your QL and your lumbar erectors are, just above your pelvis and just beneath your rib cage. Those are some of the major places we always foam roll with our clients. But in reality, we're gonna spend 5 to 10 minutes working through our entire body. So our calves, our quads, our adductors, our upper back and thoracic spine, even all the way up to our cervical spine, where we're just gonna have them set that roller behind there and do some neck rolls to loosen up their neck. Where it's important to try to coach clients to understand where they need to spend their time. I encourage them, if they have a little more tension in their quads or their hips, spend a little bit more time there, get a few extra rolls. And then, as they start to learn to foam roll, they can start to bring in other implements. So whether it be a lacrosse ball or a softball, they need to spend some time in their feet, in their calves, in their shoulder, in their pec. They can focus in a little bit more and do a little bit more specific rolling. The most important thing I want my clients to understand is to have autonomy over the foam rolling process. So have a foam roller at home, spend a little time, a few minutes each day working on their body, and over time, the cumulative effect is typically gonna make them feel and move better in the long run, and that's our ultimate goal. So in summary, we wanna make sure that we're spending time foam rolling every single day before our workout. It doesn't have to be a long foam rolling routine for 20 or 30 minutes. It should be 5 to 10 minutes, working through our entire body, kind of tuning ourselves up, getting ready for the workout ahead, and then consistently spending time on your off days, getting a little bit here and there, because in the long run, the cumulative effect of rolling and doing mobility work on the regular is gonna be what helps you move and feel better in the long run. Remember, we don't want it to be so aggressive that things hurt. We wanna make sure it's like a 6 out of 10 on the discomfort level. Make sure you're breathing. And as you start to understand your body a little bit better, you can start to use different implements and tools to get a little bit more specific as to where you apply your soft tissue work. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, head on over to certifiedfsc.com today to see some of our live workshops and online courses available on our website. Also, stick around after the video to see some of our other content.